Network Entertainment.
And welcome to my podcast, the RJ Ledesma Podcast. In this podcast, I like to speak to entrepreneurs, business owners, and visionaries to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, and can we replicate them in our own businesses. Today, I am very, very happy to have a good friend on the show. He is the president of the Makati Football Club, Selu Lozano. Selu, thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm
really
excited
appreciate
to
your
talk.
Let's shake over here. It's good to have you because, first of all, I'm very happy to have you over here because many years ago, when I was still in grade school, I joined Makati Football Club out of San Agustin when your dad was actively running the club, and it's sort of full circle for me that my son, who has gone down the rabbit hole, is very active in Makati Football Club.
It's very nice to see the encounters I have now in the last recent years, seeing generations and fathers that are older, even older, mga lolos
Yeah.
that talk to me about, I know your dad. I was in the first batch in San Agustin. And my dad remembers every single one of them.
Yes.
He may not know at first, but if you show the name and the face, my dad will say, oh, that's that guy, and he did this at this time, and then he has a little short story, funny thing, and knows the tita of the tito, of the brother, of the sister.
Very interesting. So, for those who might not be aware of Makati Football Club, tell us a bit more about Makati Football Club.
So, in a nutshell, my dad is a Spanish national. He played professional football in the 60s with Real Madrid, one of the teams. And then in the 70s, he traveled to Asia to pursue football. And when he came to the Philippines, he met my mom here. Mm-hmm. My dad actually guested in the national team in the 70s with 4 other Spanish players. And they played against Japan, they played against Korea, guesting in the Philippine national team,
Okay.
And after 1 year, around, I think, 73 or 74, my dad went to Seiko to play professional in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And then come back to my mom. Then they opened Makati Football School in 1975 in San Agustin.
It was still Makati Football School at the time.
Makati Football School, 1975. Married my mom, 1975. Then my eldest brother, was born the following year in 76. So that was how the entire story started.
Wow. I'm actually very, what really piqued my interest is your dad played for Real Madrid during the time.
My dad was playing, so my dad is French and Spanish. He played there for, I think, half a season, 6 months and all. And how he ended up going to Asia is the competition was very tough. So they had to loan him to another club, lower division. And my dad didn't want. And he came to Asia with a Spanish coach who just recently passed away, Coach Juan Cotillas.
Yes.
Everyone knows about him. And he brought my dad and 4 other Spanish players and toured Asia to play football.
Wow, very interesting. And like I was sharing with Selu, offline, because my son plays for him, that, he was so excited to go to Spain this year because he got to go to the Real Madrid stadium. And, he's not the kind of guy who he actually had what he called in his school called Night of the Notables, where the person he chose was Ronaldo. And as I entered the stadium, went through everything in the museum. He was discussing in detail every little nook and cranny in history of Real Madrid.
The Real Madrid stadium is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I've only gone there once. You go in the basement, you see the trophy room,
Incredible.
you see all the Champions League trophies. A lot of people actually don't know. If you chat GPT or Google online about Real Madrid's field, and I just showed this to her recently, that the field has elevators that go under the floor.
Yes.
And it hides under the floor, and the grass is kept and maintained under the floor. It's crazy.
And it's actually multiple. I didn't realize it was multiple. You can use it for multiple sports. You can do tennis, you can do football, you can do basketball.
Multiple sports, multiple seasons, multiple events. You can change the tarmac and go to a concert. It's crazy.
It's incredible. So that was like I said, that was a once in a lifetime experience to see Real Madrid. Stadium Bernabeu. That's right, Bernabeu.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get back now to Makati Football Club and your interesting journey going there. It was a business that your dad put up, a school rather that he put up at the time. And at the time when it was put up, there weren't many football schools, right?
if I'm not mistaken, Makati Football School is the pioneer, the first. It was the first football club / school created. My dad started with 10 or 12 students inside the school. He was also the sports director for about 20 to 25 years. I still have the picture in my phone. I'll show you later with my dad's afro and black and white picture. The goals were still squared. It's
Yes,
not
yes,
circle.
I remember those. I remember.
And wood, made out of wood. So it started there in 1975. And I really never had a connection with the business until around 2011 or 12. The basic logic of the business for my dad was just giving opportunity really to kids to play football. My dad was never, I would say, a kind of businessman that was always chasing money. My dad was always driven by two things, and it was primarily centered on the family. It was just make enough just to provide for the family and have some extra. That's how we grew up. And he always wanted a lot of kids around. So when the industry shifted, he had a hard time because he never had the business acumen or background to understand how to shift with the times and what to do, because he always wanted just to be surrounded by a lot of kids that love the sport, and it was just pure.
I see. So this is very interesting. I'm going to go into this one, but I want to preface it by saying you're sort of a second gen, and you had to take over the business in a changing environment of how the sport was being, how football was being perceived here in the Philippines. Is that right?
Yes. So I always saw myself as originating and starting the business, but in this case, I'm not. I'm a second gen, but I would say I took it over when it was going down. Late 2010, 2011, the national team started picking up. The Phil foreigners started coming in, and we had some wins internationally, and football was picking up here.
Particularly here in the Metro Manila area.
Yeah, and clubs started popping up left and right. The first named sponsors that came in were Meralco, Globe, and my dad did not know how to shift and pivot when new, quote-unquote, shiny objects, new clubs open. It did not really matter anymore. Did they have a better service or other variables? It was more of, hey, there's something new, let's try it. And my dad did not know how, so he was losing students left and right.
I see.
And the relationship basically started as simple as asking me to go to one of the venues in Alabang and spend time with him, so he would employ me just to coach. I had no idea how to coach. I was never around kids. That's how it started.
And what was your background coming into the business?
So I've never worked in corporate. I've never worked for anyone. I don't know if I can say I would never worked with anyone. So my background is strength and conditioning. I spent most of my childhood being obese, trying to lose weight. I was always intrigued in nutrition and physical conditioning. Played in the national team, played football my whole life, played professional here, tried to go abroad, explore my dream. Ironically, my dad, who played professionally in the highest level, never wanted us to play football professionally because it was too hard a life. So a lot of the kids nowadays don't really realize what real football is. They see what Ronaldo and Messi do on TV and the billions of dollars, but they don't realize how many layers of professional careers there are and how hard it is to get there. And my dad had a very hard upbringing, very simple. He kayod talaga siya on his own. So he didn't want us to go through that. So unlike today, you have a lot of parents that have well-off means to travel to Barcelona camp or try this or go to this academy, go to the US, dibble-dabble there, blah, blah, blah. We never had that. It was, I couldn't travel. I couldn't dream of anything. It was just play here. So maybe it was a calling somehow that I needed to fail there because I needed to do this.
Yeah. So, in other words, the failure was like a pivot point for you as well.
A pivot point which I didn't understand. again, my dad opened the school in 1975, and until 2011, I had no interest, no connection, or nothing to do with Makati Football Club. Became club in about the 90s when my dad incorporated it.
I see. So when you were there, and the first time around, your dad was hiring you to go over there. You weren't really a coach, particularly for football. When did you start noticing that there were certain pain points that needed to be solved with the business, and when did you start coming into more of the role of taking over? I guess, or taking more of a larger role in the club.
So let's start with the trainings in Alabang. My brain is wired to optimize things. So whether I was into football, I was into another art. Thankfully, I'm not into anything criminal. Because my brain tends to grow things, optimize, find solutions, and grow and grow and grow and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It started as simple as me telling my dad, hey, I think I can do something better here. Can you give me one field on the side? And can you let me choose 10 players in the academy? I won't touch your money. Whatever they're registered to pay every month, I won't touch it. Just give me 2 months, give me a field, let me choose the 10 to 15 guys, and let me train them. I'm going to bring out whatever money I have saved from allowance and personal training, because I was doing personal training before I got into the football club. While I was studying my craft for strength and conditioning, I was personal training and coaching people. So whatever money I'd saved up, I prepared, quote unquote, for like an elite program. I got them new uniforms, new gear, got a lot of coaches, tried my own thing, studied my own ways. Didn't really know anything much about football except my extensive background on the sport, watching my dad. A whole nother story is my uncle is a professional coach in France, and that's a whole nother story. So I had a lot of raw data and experience in my mind. Thankfully, today, YouTube and online just helps you structure everything so fast if you know how to use it and know what you're looking for. So in a nutshell, I started the program, and everyone was happy. Everyone liked it. But after 2 months of doing it, I told everyone, if you want to continue, there's going to be a ×5 multiplier. Everyone was paying back then 3,000 pesos lang yata. You know what you're paying now, right? So 3,000 lang yun per month. And I told my dad, I'm going to start this program with the 15 kids, and everyone has to pay 15,000 a month. But I told dad, yung 3,000 markup mo, hindi ko gagalawin yan. So yung 12,000 sa akin. So he had nothing to do. The value proposition of his business to his clients went up. And he keeps his cut, and he doesn't have to pay me. I created my own value because...
Inside the club?
Yeah,
okay.
Inside the club.
Like an elite portion inside the club?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I made this, let's say, a different business unit. And my arguments always with my dad was, if you want me to do this, this is my price. And he'll laugh at me and say, you're crazy. So I said, okay, you don't need to pay me. So let me create my salary. Ito yung diskarte ko. So... not everyone was too happy with the price. My dad said I was crazy and it's not going to work. But all 15 of them paid. And then it started with that until it got more and more and more students. Until after about 150,000 fights with my dad, because we're both alphas. Okay. I had to tell dad, look, I studied the whole operations and I don't want to tell you what to do. But if you want this to work, I only know my way. So I asked him... Eventually, mga 2015, after a lot of arguments and fights, can you let me handle everything? And I will give you a royalty. And what was funny was, and if you talk to my dad about this, he will say, Selu made me 1, 2, 3. Because I offered him a monthly fixed rate, not on a percentage, but a monthly fixed rate which was much higher than what the actual academy was making. Kung baga, he was gonna get a much higher rate regardless if my idea works or not. Fix na yan. And if it goes down, I have to keep paying him that. I have to shoulder everything. But for whatever magic reason, gumana, and there's extra profit, akin na yun. And he was okay with that. He thought it was a good deal. When he thought it wasn't a good deal was when he saw the margin and how big it got. And I said, that's what I gambled on. I gambled on myself. So there, you have to understand, my dad made everything himself. Everything I got was originated from him. So all the blessings, fortunate, anything I have now was from that. That regardless of me saying the business was going down or whatever, everything started because of the brand he handed to me.
So what you had was just literally brand equity, really the brand name.
Yes,
Almost.
but I would say the secret wasn't the brand name. The secret was watching my dad subliminally, indirectly, directly over how many years, and me seeing how things work and watching him work. There were a lot of my things my dad did really well. Again, another ironic thing is the best things I learned from my dad were the mistakes he made. Where the business was weak, where he was weak, where he wasn't doing well. Those were really the gold nuggets for me. And the major things I really got from my dad was his attention to detail, how hardworking he was. Organization was one of my weakest points that I got my dad really I needed to follow. For example, running an international trip. When we go to international trips, I started going with my dad and I would be the head coach. My dad's priorities were, are the passports taken care of? Are the kids going to school? Have they eaten? Are the flights booked? Are the buses? All itinerary. Bahala na mangyari sa field. Just do a good job. Mine was the complete opposite. Have the players rested? Who are we playing tomorrow? Can we win? My dad always was in the notion that, look, we're here to try. Don't dream. It's impossible to win. Especially with the biggest World Youth Cup tournament in the world, Gothia Cup, which fortunately, after many years of trying, we finally won 2 consecutive years in a row.
Congratulations to Makati Football Club.
I always believed in the Pinoy. I always believed in the product my dad started with. I just thought that he didn't understand how to make it work. There was just something missing, some ingredients. But it was his raw thing. It's just the person who could activate it that knew how was me, and I didn't know that.
And as you're doing that, I want to also appreciate, because many of us here are like yourselves. Like, there is a generational, it's a generational business, or
Yeah.
generational gap where you're working with your father,
Yes.
with your mother. What have you learned? I mean, because you eventually took things over from your dad. You took some good parts. You left out the parts that were not so good. If you were to share also the learning that you had from working together with your dad and eventually taking over the business, what are things that you can share also with other entrepreneurs who are in the same second gen in your position that you think they can learn from?
So you have the very obvious facts about how to run a business properly, how to learn how to be resilient, dealing with problems, tough times, believing in what you do, all your typical things. But the most important thing I would say I learned from my dad, which you might find weird, is it's not always about money. That was his favorite line to me. Don't always think about money. Don't always think about the profit. You're always thinking money. Value proposition. How can we increase the metrics? Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes think about the person more. There's a lot of back end story into that and tangents connected to that. But that has been very important to me because over the years in MFC, the success has really not been... Well, if you study the metrics and the finance and it working as a business, noted, okay? But that is just an effect of what is really the secret to MFC. And the secret to MFC is really loving what you do and putting the child's interest over everything else, over the parent himself. And most of the times, my fights are because of the parent of the child. And I don't put myself in a position of like being a king, that si Selu yung hawak ng pera, siya yung boss, siya yung gagawa ng lahat ng decisions. No, I put myself in this position because I do not trust anyone else in this life that will uphold the mission of the academy, which is to do whatever is best for the child all the time. I haven't met anyone else who would put that to a point where you lose money or you lose friends. And I think that's really the main success of the business. That there's a lot of things that can be said about me, but my genuine nature to put the kid ahead of everyone else cannot question. I don't think anybody can question that.
Got that. I'm just curious, when you were doing this one, when you put the 15 players when you started off, right? Did it automatically work? Was there a point that you thought you might fail? Because I mean, for many people, there are dark times we go through as well.
So the first thing you need to do, you already lose if you're scared to fail or you're focusing on failing. Another learning from my dad. My dad was always focused on, sabihin natin yung sa mga books na basahin nyo, yung Poor Man's Thinker, ang dami niyang nakikitang obstacle. Other people naman, they would call me reckless, but the main difference with me and my dad was I just always saw what is going to work and the what if possibility. So if I'm looking at that wall and I want to get to that camera, I am aware of the lights, the phone, the table, and the other stands around. I see it, but I don't focus on it. I can only see the TV.
I see.
And just like in MFC, it is one of the most important things you learn, that if you're not making mistakes and you're not trying to mistakes, you're not for MFC. Any academy, any child institution, any teaching program or coach that puts fear in kids making mistakes has no business being around kids. So the building blocks, and I've made many mistakes and failures, and a lot of the reason things work was really having the balls to go for things and make mistakes, and being ingenuitive enough on how you collect all those mistakes and use it as fuel.
Yes.
It's easy to say. It's different pag kinain mo yung failure. It's different.
Yeah. And just like many entrepreneurs here, failure really it's different. Entrepreneurs perceive failure, some as a badge of honor, some failure just they say that it's tuition fee. They call it tuition fee. As you start off, and like you said, you just eat the failure and see how it fuels you moving forward. But I also want to ask that as you were doing this one, no? I mean, you had a strength and conditioning background, but you're a football player yourself, but you never coached. Did you get any outside training to manage, to learn how to better manage the company or to grow MFC?
Are we talking about professional training for on the corporate side or on the technical / coaching side?
Well, I guess on both. Like first of all, on the business side.
On the business side, that's where I would do a lot of research online, watch documentaries, read articles, case studies, like what everyone else does. And then during the pandemic, I enrolled in the master's program in Ateneo. I took the Masters of Entrepreneurship there.
Ateneo Graduate School of Business.
Yes, with Prof. Andy. So I was referred to by one of my close friends, Piku Utam Chandani, the owner of Esquire Finance. So they always saw me as like, ang dami mong diskarte, ang dami mong laman sa utak mo. You need professional training so you can maximize whatever's going on in that brain of yours.
I see.
One of my strongest skill sets has always been I have the ability to create. But what my main weakness is I don't have the skills and tools to communicate and translate or articulate properly what's inside my brain.
So what did you do? How did Prof. Andy and the Ateneo Masters help you out?
The Masters with Prof. Andy helped me a lot because it gave me baseline structure. It gave me guidelines. It gave me a different insight on, instead of being a hater of corporate and studying masters, like, I don't need that. You don't need to go to school to make money. My mind was always wanting to learn. I'm always trying to study. So I'm always trying to find something new. And with the masters, being around other people who were involved in different industries, restaurant business, beauty business, construction business, all these other things, you get so many other angles and learnings that you can compare it to your own business. Good points, bad points. But mainly, the structure is what helped. This was the same thing with my strength and conditioning background. So I always liked working out, studying on my own. So when I took licenses in the States and all of these things, it was very familiar already. Like I saw the tests and the books. I know this, but I couldn't articulate it. So like if I go to a mirror and explain a topic that I said I know, I can't. It's parang, okay, you have a sense of it, but you can't really explain it. What formal studying did to me, and I think does to a lot of people, is it gives you an ability to process and then articulate it to another person so they can understand. There's one thing, there's one layer when you kind of understand something. It's the next level when you really understand it. It's a whole different thing if you understand it to a point where you can explain it to another person who doesn't have an expertise in that field, but they get the base logic.
Yeah. And what I find interesting is that, because my wife did the program as well for our business Mercato, and they don't encourage, it's not like a regular degree, master's degree where it's test taking and lecture. It's really more of the, it's a very practical degree.
I would say you need a brain. You need a critical thinking brain. You have your classmates and typical people who would come because they need the paper. It's good to pad the resume and say tapos na ako sa master's ko. I don't even think I finished the paperwork to get the final thing because I was really in it only for what am I gonna squeeze out here in every single person. I was there to learn.
Yeah.
So you need to think, you need to be open-minded, you need to see and be curious about what everyone else is doing. Even if you think it's stupid. If you think another business is stupid or that's just a CEO, what I call child of owner lang, they still have things you can learn. You have to be curious. You have to be a nosy person and go to all of them and how do you run that there? What's it compared to mine? And there were a lot of learnings I got from the masters, especially. I wasn't as big as I thought I was. When Prof. Andy taught me how to do my industry analysis, my macro analysis, when we did our external analysis on understanding and mastering your industry, knowing the ins and out. Yeah. Initially, I said, I know everything. I know how much everyone gets paid, what coaches, what's the chismis in this academy, what's the business there. I knew everything. But I never put numbers. I never was able to put numbers behind it. When Prof. Andy told me, how many academies are there? How many students do they have? How much are they charging? How much are you charging? What are your attrition rates? My God, I never even understood or heard the word attrition in my life. And when I say people, I have a 99% success rate, meaning if you try MFC, 99% of the time you'll join. But I did not realize what attrition meant, and I wasn't keeping track of people who stopped, who changed, why. I did not put it on paper. I did not explain it to other people. So there was, again, and I'll keep repeating this in my talk, that my weakest point really is my communication skills. I mean, I've improved a lot over the years, studying manners of speech, how you talk. If we were not in this podcast, I would not be talking like this. I'm talking very slow. I don't speak like this. You know this.
Yeah.
So I try to think, try to slow down, try to articulate better, try to practice. Because right now, it's not about me anymore. There's a lot of kids who watch me. There's a lot of kids who follow me. I'm a reflection of the entire brand. So I end up being the example to everyone. I tell everyone, who are you not to want to make mistakes or try this? Ako yung may-ari. I should just be walking around here, diba? Doing whatever I want. But I'm always the first telling you I make the most mistakes. Even the 8-year-olds, I tell you, can you teach me something? If you can research on YouTube when you go home and there's a way to tweak the drill that I'm doing it wrong and you think you know better, let's change it. I challenge everyone with this.
What else did you learn? So you got industry analysis out of it. How about, there's this thing my wife keeps on telling me, Vimocracy.
So VVM Ocrapi Patres is the acronym they use. You start your course, basically, you start with your, Prof. Andy, if you're listening, you'll be proud of me. So you start with you make your first paper, the first set of the course, the first year with your external analysis. So the external analysis is your paperwork and data gathering about understanding everything on the macro sense, what's happening in the different industries. You learn what industry you're actually in. You use Prof. Andy starts to teach you, no, you're not in this industry. You're actually in this industry. You study, you get a better feel of what's happening outside. And then from there, you transition into the next paper, which is your internal analysis. Understanding exactly what's happening in your operation with your major compartments, with your marketing, with your sales, with your finance, with your operations. Then you dissect that. You look at every unit. Then you have so many learnings. My main problem was I had nothing on paper. Prof. Andy was just like, oh, alam mo nga lahat, pero we need paper. Can you show us something? I said, everything's in my brain. So I had to start writing and start getting documents and all. And then from there, you put your business plan together. So you use your external analysis plus your internal analysis, and you create a business plan based on your objectives and what you're trying to do. So VVM Ocrapis Patres, basically you start with, you align your vision with your mission, with your objective, with your key results areas. How do you measure the key results areas with your performance and indicators? Then you create a strategy with the programs you're going to assign, to the task you're going to assign, to where you're going to allocate the resources. So I just spelled out the VVM Ocrapis Patres. So I don't know how many of my classmates use this, but I actually use that as a guideline when I pitch, when I go to investors, when I go to speak to people. It's like a guideline.
What's up, Kingdom fam? Yuki and Ingrid here from the Kingdom Podcast. Are you someone who has fully integrated K-pop into your life? Or keep up with the latest K-pop comebacks, news, and scandals?
Do you also dream about getting married to your bias and having their babies in the future? Well, you're in the right... What? I'm just being honest.
Look, you know what? Let's just get back to it. At the Kingdom Podcast, we dive into the latest comebacks, dissect the music videos, and do deep dives on controversies.
Not only do we make things informative, but we also keep it fun. It'll be just like listening to a group of friends who love K-pop as much as you.
You won't find another podcast that's as fun and unfiltered as ours.
So, if you're ready for some K-pop chaos, grab your nightsticks and tune in.
Check out the Kingdom Podcast.
Stream it on all your favorite podcast platforms. Stay awesome, Kingdom fam! I thought that was pretty good. What do you think?
Marrying your bias and having their babies? Really?
Yep.
Okay.
We were taught how to align. And I'm curious to see how many of my classmates and other business owners do this. But from your vision, if you completely understand where you want to be from your vision, and down to your mission, to who you are doing this for, who it benefits. That's another thing I learned in the masters. You know how everyone has their mission. It's for this client. In the masters, like in MFC, you learn that the mission, one of the people that you're trying to increase the value proposition for is your clientele, your customers, right? But it's also for your shareholders. I've never heard a mission that has part of your vision is to increase the profits and benefits of the shareholders. Then you have also for your community. Then you have also for your employees, wanting them to want to be here. I've never seen that. So every time I go and see mission vision in companies, it's really just for the picture lang. And I'm the type of guy that will question you. Sige nga, do you understand your vision mission? And your core values, is it aligned? Everyone, every employee that you hire, is it aligned with your vision, your mission, your core values?
Yeah.
So that structure helps me a lot. It gives me alignment because I'm a very madiscarte person. You invited me to this interview with no structure, no pre-questions, no nothing. And I work best when I'm on autopilot. Autopilot means you ask me a question, my brain shuts off and I just watch my mouth. It just goes.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to know, you just ask.
Prof. Andy would have passed you right now if he was listening to you.
Yeah, I learned. I hope he's happy that I was there because I was very challenging and I always clash with him because I'm a know-it-all. I like to put my opinions and I like to challenge things that I know better than you. But at the same time, I'm also that same person. Even if I know I've achieved much, I can put myself all the way down. If you know something better than me in any capacity, I will listen in any capacity.
And you were saying earlier on, this is what really intrigued me about you. It's about how you perceive competition.
Yes.
That's an intriguing way of looking at things. Can you share with us what you were saying?
Excuse me. If you get to know who I am and ask people in the industry about me, I think I'm the contrabida. I'm the infamous one that everyone complains about. And a lot of the complaints I have in the industry is, that's the guy who will get your students. That's the guy who will get your business and all of this. And I've always been misunderstood in a way where I'm guilty also on how I approach these things. Like when I see players I like before, I would approach them. I would offer them something better, anything to get the player, to increase value to my team. But I've evolved a lot. And before it was so bad, like 7-8 years ago, I would really make it a point to rub it in people's face. Kasi I built this all alone eh. Ni centimo my dad gave me. So I needed to find ways that I'm to build myself and get confidence. And maybe it was misunderstood and misguided way, but that was my way to protect myself. If I played you and we won the game 10-0 and you had one good player,
You want to get that one good player. Yeah.
not only that, after the game, there's already a jersey ready and I'm asking you to come to next training in front of them. Then I changed my methods completely. When I have interested players, I don't talk to them that day. I just watch. Then I'll have a coach or a parent on a different day inquire and just let them know that I'm interested. But there's only so much you can do because most of the people in the industry still, it's funny because it's a double standard. If everyone gets players, it's invitation, recruiting, inviting. If it's MFC and Coach Selu, it's poaching, stealing, destroying. So I changed my methods not because of how people thought of me. I don't care what they think. I changed my methods because I realized it was wrong and it was affecting other people negatively. When I changed my methods for the right reasons and people still act negatively about it, I don't care now because I'm already doing the correct process. I cannot do anything. I have every right to offer anyone my service and they have every right to say no.
That's right. And I just like you said, sometimes you like for people they shun looking at competition, what they do. But
yeah,
you,
sorry,
and that too. But that too. That's also
I got off track there. So I would say the main difference, I would say, this is my opinion lang, with my other competitors is that my other competitors don't really spend time to watch us. They don't like me. Like they don't want their students to see us. They don't want their students to train us. They don't want to know what's happening. So in contrast to that, I spy, I go, I survey, I study, I stalk. Look at their Instagram posts. Who are their clientele? How do they post compared to mine? Why do they do this? How much are they charging? Who are the trainers? Ooh, they have a tent with a reception. And when people come in, I didn't have that before. It's just me and it's just like this. So I started again, Prof. Andy, your customer journey, Selu. It's always like that, asking me, what's your customer journey? And I started studying all the other competitors in every compartment and unit of how they run their businesses. And every time I saw something bad, okay, noted, next. But every time I saw something, I just copied it. Kasi there's no point in having an ego na I do it better. When there's already someone doing it better, you just copy it. And then optimize it.
It's kind of like when you go, okay, ego takes a back seat. This is the best practice.
It's not, I wouldn't say my focus is not on the ego or not ego. My focus is on efficiency. So if there's something that's working na, ano yung punto na magyayabang ka pa, nandyan na yung tama, kopyahin mo na lang.
Sayang the extra.
It's sayang ng effort and time.
Got it. Now, the other thing that I find interesting is that you're not just the president of the Makati Football Club. You're also the president of the Makati Football Club Foundation, and you've got it's a scholars that you have, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So to put a little context into things, so in the football industry, a lot of people help kids. They have scholars, and the usual notion of what a scholar is in a football academy is someone who probably doesn't pay registration fees, gets free uniforms because they can't afford. The scholars in MFC is a whole different level. When you say you're a full-time scholar of Makati Football Club Foundation, you live in a condo in BGC, your schooling is paid, your all your international trips are paid, your insurance, your dental, the biggest things all the way down to your toiletries, to your allowance a week, everything. So I'm also their legal guardian, signed off to me when they leave the province. So that's what a full-time scholar of MFC is. Now, I would say around 2000, I was doing this step by step since 2015. And it just started as simple as, oh, that kid, let's do what other people are doing. Libre yung, diba, 15,000 a month when I started before.
Yeah.
I told them, libre na yung registration mo. It just started as that, libre yung uniform mo. Until it became 2 kids, 3 kids. Until I started bringing them to international trips. My 10-year-old team's weak, but those 3 kids from Iloilo, if I invite them here, fly them in, let them train, and pay for their trip, everyone's gonna be happy. We have a chance to win, and my clients will pay me more because they'll want to come because we're winning. And then, so it got bigger and bigger, and the main pivot why the foundation was during 2020. I was advised by a very close parent in the academy, Miss Len Horn. She was the chief of staff of President GMA before. She's also the VP of Government Affairs for SM. So any advice I need with regards to legal, government, she always guides me. So she told me, Coach, alam mo, lumalaki na yung mga nagdo-donate and helping you. I know you're spending a lot of your own money, but it's kind of off when you ask people money to help this kid and deposit in your account. And at the same time, Coach, hindi ka maka-expand at walang magbibigay yung pera sa'yo sa personal account mo. So, in 2020, I opened the Makati Football Club Foundation. The premise of the foundation was similar to Makati Football Club, which was to give opportunity and performance training to youth Filipinos to improve their skills and also their holistic development. The only difference is the demographic here was the under-marginalized. And it was to give, just like your son who's in my academy, is to give everything R3 has, to give it to an opportunity to experience from a kid that has nothing. Okay? It's important to note that the foundation was not created, or I would say the driving force was not philanthropy. I love helping people. I got that from my dad, being generous and all. But it was a strategic decision on my part, seeing that there was a very untapped, unused gold value, I would say, in the under-marginalized sector of the youth in the provinces that have nothing to do all day. And if you give them something to focus on, and you mix it with that raw talent, raw spiciness and grit of how a Pinoy from the province is, you get a different end result and material if, and this is one of the major differences of our foundation, if you give them top-end resources. What does this mean? There are a lot of charities out there, not to put them down or belittle them. Yes, everyone needs help to survive, quote unquote. But where are the entities and organizations that are investing and helping poor kids, but giving them the highest end resources? So your son, imagine if I just wanted to help him and I gave him the poorest quality food and the poorest football shoes just so he has something to use. Now look at the difference if I gave him the best uniform, the best shoes. I say uniform because sometimes utility is not even the reason. You give a mental push and you feel like, wow, I feel better. You didn't even step in the field yet. You're not even training yet. You feel better already. So the idea of the foundation is, number one, giving high resources, the highest end resources to under-marginalized kids. Then the magic happens when you mix the under-marginalized kid with privileged kids. And when you see the social interaction through time, magic happens. You'll have, and usually the learnings are from the poor kids. You'll have a rich kid go to you, Dad, I'm sorry, I complained about the 15,000 peso shoe you got me last week and it was red and I wanted white because this kid didn't even have shoes and he was taping up his shoes. So there's small learnings like that. So with MFC, it really brings high value to our environment. You know how schools have their cultural immersions. They go watch the poor, quote unquote, watch the poor. The difference with MFC is you live with the poor and you have learnings like, my gosh, Dad, this guy is stronger than us. He just has no money. But when you equip him, this person has much more than us.
So the scholars really sort of improve the quality of the
It's
game.
a whole difference.
Yeah.
The quality of the football is one thing, but the holistic development is on a whole another level.
Wow.
If you want to teach R3 what Dad makes in a month and in a year and how he has all of these things and he has no idea what that costs and what value that is, you look at a kid with nothing. And when they share with you, wow, may swimming pool ka. Wow, alam mo ba kami, naglalakad lang kami, nag-MRT kami, tricycle lang kami. Yung daddy ko, tricycle driver. Ngayon, nandito na ako sa Manila. I have this, they have that. Wow. They can really appreciate what's given to them. And it's very hard to make a kid that grew up with something appreciate something more. You have to give them so much more to appreciate something. Mm-hmm. So the strategy with the scholars, again, is number one, increasing the value proposition to the clientele for the quality of the environment. There's always two aspects. There's the technical aspect, which is the football part. Like if you have kids training every day, if they have nothing else to do, and they're living here, quote unquote, technically paid to play, your training environment will get better because now you have better players around you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the other aspect is what I told you, the holistic development of seeing the grit, seeing the hard work, seeing kids appreciate na, this doesn't work. I can't just say, Dad, I'm not in the mood to play football this month. Mm-hmm. Because if the other kid says that, I go home and I have no more money and I have no more future and I stay in Bacolod the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Got that.
So it's not just one layer. It's multifaceted. It's multi-angled, and the magic happens when you put all of that together. When I was telling you I was advised to create the foundation, the important thing you need to know just last year is so anyone can create a foundation. You can go to SEC, you can open a foundation, and if anyone donates money to you, you can give them a receipt and they can credit 30% of their taxes. The main difference that was advised to me that took me 2 years to do and a lot of hard work is what they call an accreditation by PCNC. Okay, it's Philippine Council of Non-Government. I forgot the exact word, but the point of the PCNC accreditation is, number one, it's very hard to get because this was established in the early 2010s with all the money laundering cases. All the people were using NGOs to move money around. So they create this council where this certification vets everything. So in a nutshell, if you have this certification without even asking a question, the organization already knows that 100 boxes are ticked just by having that. Oh, this organization probably has automatically child protection policies, finance audits. They have everything kasi they have that. Because that's every year renew yan. It's very stringent and hard to get. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At the same time, for corporations and companies, it's 100% tax deductible. So all the big foundations that you see around, SM Foundation, Aboitiz Foundation, BPI Foundation, all of these are PCNC certified.
Got this.
So it took me a while to get that. As I said, one of the examples before was I would go to some foundations, big named foundations, because I have some prominent families in the academy. And the first thing they would ask me is, do you have a PCNC accreditation? Can I see your financials? And who's on your board? In a nutshell, why they're asking this is, in their experience, after 1 year of giving you money, yung pera na binibigyan nila sa'yo is salary mo lang. Ninanakaw mo lang.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so actually this foundation is strategic also because it grows the business as well.
Yes, it allows opportunity. So for example, I would say restaurant, for example. So that's a whole other topic because I have other business also in restaurants and other things. But I say restaurant because if you're looking to expand the restaurant, sometimes people think, wag muna tayo maglabas ng budget, kulang pa yung customers. I believe you should have the opposite mentality, which is get a new aircon na, get new 20 seating, open a new compartment there, and now you have opportunity to bring 20 more people in. So it's the same thing here. By having this platform that's much more legally professional, it allows me, kasi what if next week someone calls me from UNICEF or an international grant, we want to send you $3 million to open a stadium, a small place, and like this. What am I gonna say? Send to my personal account?
Got that.
Diba?
Very interesting.
So it helps professionally and legally prepare for the future. And it gives, I would say, security and credibility to you as a parent. For example, when R3 trains with Gracie, for example, from Bacolod, and Coach Selu, the foundation handles that. Ayos lahat ng paperwork yan. Everything's legal. Everything's covered. Don't worry about that. So it gives you a sense of security. It's the same thing when you go to the academy and you find out that the coaches have government permits, NBI clearances, are paying their taxes. The foreigners have 9G visas, are actually the companies paying for their taxes. I hold their passports. You know that you're in a safe environment.
Got that.
So again, if you notice from what I said in the start of the podcast, the secret, I believe, in the success of the academy is being able to put what is best for the child over everything else, especially what the parent thinks. Because usually, unfortunately, you parents don't know what's best for your kid when it comes in this environment for the kids, because there's so many variables to consider. And sometimes they forget, RJ, is this what's best for your son? Diba? And that's where the tough job comes in. And I have to be very firm. I'm not going to teach parents how to parent their child, but the parents have to adhere that when you're in my environment, there's a certain code that we live by that works. We're not saying that this is the only thing that works, that this is the best way. But in the years we've accomplished things, this has worked, and we will continue doing this. So with all due respect, if you want to be here, you have to adhere by our rules. If you want to berate your son in front of people, you have every right to do it, but do not do it around my players, my employees, my staff, and me. Because this is not how we run things here. Something like that.
And then, just as another point, no, usually there are a lot of schools out there, and usually you stand out by having what we call the secret sauce. What is that secret sauce for MFC right now?
Let's just say the secret sauce is real, okay? Because a lot of people might counter that. What secret sauce are you talking about? If we stick to just objective things, so let's not focus on, is MFC the best club? Is MFC, does it have the best trainers? Does it have the best methodologies? All of that are subjective, and you can always counter all of that. Let's say na lang, with all the accolades that MFC has achieved internationally, what is the secret sauce to make that happen? Because those aren't subjective. Those are just objective. Country, level, tournament won. Regardless of what you say about me and the organization, that is there. The secret sauce has a lot of compartments behind it. But honestly, again, one aspect is putting the child's value really ahead of everyone else. A bitter pill to swallow that I want to share with you is what a lot of new academies are going through now, which is in the start, you have to do everything you can to win. As horrible as that sounds, football academies are here and established for child development, nurturing, giving them a stable environment. But it's so hard because in the end of the day, you have to run a business, you have to sell, you have to make it work, you're competing. Why choose me? So a lot of the people I see now is a place I found myself before where I would need to do everything. Nothing illegal, but everything to a point of being harsh that you need to win. Kasi that's your selling point. Ironically, the more success we've had, the more I've calmed down and I've really been able to pivot into, guys, can we focus on the kids' development? Coach, what do you mean? Many times, winning or losing is not what's going to be best for the kid. It's how they win or how they lose. What's the point in training all week, RJ, a certain way, if on the weekend, the coach is just going to change what to do because he wants to please his ego and say, I beat you, I won, this is my team. Or a parent wants to say, oh, yan yung anak ko is part of that winning team and ganito. What's the point? You're missing the whole point. In MFC, I've shared this in our chat groups, there's a certain time when you're going to be taught when to win. And that doesn't happen until you're after 15. From ages 8 to 14, there are different compartments of focus. It's like when you're younger, it's mostly on personal skills, even to a point that you're a ball hog. But there's only a certain time in your life that you focus on developing individual ability and confidence that you can't get anymore later on. And then you transition into team dynamics.
I see.
And then you transition into specific positions and other things. So you're still working on all of the things, but umiiba yung focus there. It's just like on physical ability, on certain month, you may work stamina, less power and strength. On a certain other month, you work more on strength and you bring down your stamina. That's called periodicity training, okay? So the same thing with the academy on the technical part. There's certain times when you need to focus on certain things. If you go younger, 3 to 5 years old, kalimutan mo na yung football technical aspect. Yung you're trying to teach a kid to kick. No, when you go to the 3 to 5 year olds, your primary objective there is mental health. Mental health of the child, being put in an environment to have fun. First time they see authority, see socially other human beings. Then you indirectly teach football. You don't get a kid that's 3 years old like you'll see around now and tell them, here, kick this. This is the technique. That's completely stupid. You indirectly teach the kid. Play a game. We're all dinosaurs. Can you kick the cone? Can you do this? Can you kick the cone there? Can you kick the cone there? Then if you get a little smart about it, you add the cognitive aspect. Okay, everyone, who can kick the red cone? Who can kick the circle red cone? So there's so many. It's really an education tool in the end of the day, and it's really crazy because I never knew how much I loved kids. I found my passion in MFC. I found what I'm best at in MFC. I found what makes me money in MFC, and I found something that helps the world and other people in MFC. And those four things in that intersect is a concept and mantra I follow very closely of, which is Ikigai, which is your purpose for living. All my tattoos are based on that. And I try to share to other people on how to find that. You know, my poor kids in the province, tutulungan kita to find something that you're good at, that you love, that can help other people and also make you money. And usually people only have one of the two. So MFC's been everything to me. And your question about the secret sauce, maybe if all the other owners and organization ask, how many of you owners spend 7 days a week in training, create the programs, is there every single session, even if you have a daughter and a family, and have time to house 29 kids full time? So it's really just, I think the secret sauce is being in love with what you do. And then, if you want to make it work, you have to find a way to monetize it. I think most of the people this generation, or I don't know if it's just the generation, but many people focus too much on, ano ba pwede gawin ngayon to make money? Then you ask him, why? What do you want money for? What are you gonna do? Oh, wala lang, basta, para rich tayo and we can do this.
Yeah.
It needs to start with your why. You need to understand why you're doing something. You reverse engineer it and you make it work after.
I like that. Reverse engineer and make it work after. Now, it's been a very interesting conversation, Selu. It could go on and on. I can see that you've got the gift of gab, literally,
Yes.
over here. But then, I'm going to make you wear now your hat as an entrepreneur who's gained a lot from coaching, who's gained a lot from what you've learned in the past and from your dad. If you're going to give your tips on entrepreneurship, your best insights that you want to share with your younger self or with other entrepreneurs moving up in this world who need to establish a business, re-establish a business, what would those tips be for them?
There are some basic fundamental ingredients you need that you hear all the time. You got to be really hardworking, okay? A lot of people like the result. They don't like what it takes. When you hear, okay, to get that result, you have to do this. They're not willing to put in the work. you have to be very resilient. You have to be very makapal na muka. You have to swallow failure. You have to swallow fights. You have to be okay. It's weird because it's just like what you know how they say in TV, the more and more successful you get, the less and less friends you have. It's same as me. I said, wala ka naman friends. I had a whole big barkada, but I evolved and I realized that I can't be in certain environments because we're not aligned with what we're trying to do and what it takes to go where I'm going. It can't have a lot of friends around. You need to be very passionate about what you do. You need to be driven by the correct things. You know, wanting money, wanting comfortable things, nice car. I wanna be comfortable, not stressed. I wanna help my family. You need to focus on why you're doing this and why it makes you happy. Okay? Maybe sometimes you're doing something temporary because you need to make the money there and you're chasing something else. But you have to be able to be very self-critical and ask yourself tough questions on what do I want to do? How is this going to work? A lot of the people I see fail is they're not able to swallow a lot of failure. They're not able to swallow a lot of hatred, dislike. So focused on, anong sinabi ni ganyan? How does he feel about me? How do I please them? You need to focus on what's right and not what other people are thinking. That said, you have to be very humble. And that's weird when people hear me say the word humble coming from me. Is you have to be very open and aware. Because a lot of the time, there's a lot of people who feed you a lot of garbage. But with 100 times of being given garbage, one time there might be a gold nugget. And many people, they filter the amounts of times they receive garbage because they're so used to not being hurt or given bad stuff. You need to be able to swallow all kinds of data from learnings, experiences, things that people say, things that happen to you. You need to swallow all of that. And the magic happens when, what do you do with all of that inside your brain? How do you let it affect you? How do you use it? Will it kill you? Or do you use it as a stepping stone to go to the next thing? So you have to be very resilient. And the reason why I always go back to passion is your North Star helps you with your direction. Every time you're lost and you're not sure if it's working or not, if you understand why you're doing something or where you're trying to go, the other things seem to be so small na lang.
Got that.
And again, please don't focus on the money. It really means nothing. There's money everywhere. It's a piece of paper. You can get it anywhere. Focus on creating value. Value. Another thing is, do not compromise your core integrity. You can always fail a business. You can always open. You can always make new money. Once mandaya ka, hindi naman pala totoo yung sinabi ni coach na always kids first. You can never get that back again.
Got that. Words of wisdom spoken like a true coach. Again, Selu, thanks so much for being
You're
here
welcome.
on the RJ Ledesma podcast. Looking forward to seeing you again back on the field with all the kids and my son.
Sure.
Thanks again.
Okay.
And thanks for joining us in the RJ Ledesma podcast.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.